Hi, my name is Louay Al-Samarrai and I'm one of the managing partners of Active Digital Marketing Communications based here in the United Arab Emirates and covering the entire Middle East region. I think one of the key differentiators is the view that our clients take of this region versus Europe and the US. And I think that it's seen as a very marginal place to focus on, whereas in fact, when you look at the revenue streams that these vendors are making and the margins that that represents, it is actually quite an important area. People think the cultures here are very, very different, but when you talk about behaviors in the IT sector, and in terms of how businesses behave, it is all very, very similar. One of the other differentiators is that it's seen as one homogeneous block, this region, whereas it is actually anywhere between 6 to 11 different countries and markets, and each one needs to be taken in a very different way, and yet many clients see it as being covered with one market budget rather than multiple budgets. So I think one of the biggest surprises about cybersecurity in this particular region is that it's thriving, it's very, very healthy, and a lot of money is being spent in that area. Not only because there is a government focus and a government will to do that across the region, but also because businesses have exactly the same challenges and are seeing that because this region his visibility has grown due to things like the Qatar World Cup and the expo that we just had here in Dubai, the fact is that these are making the region get attention. And that attention is good attention, but it's also bad attention. So the increase in attacks, ransomware, data breaches and so on and so forth are actually growing, and that means these companies need to do a lot more and be a lot more ahead of the game when it comes to those sorts of things. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we share with our clients is to wean themselves off media relations as the core focus and activity that they do in this region. It's still very successful, there's no doubt about that, but there is a need to diversify and look at other ways of getting content out. And we know from the Code Red research we did last year that thought leadership is an incredibly important area, and it's one that the decision makers, the CISOs, they look to for making decisions. And so we need to be able to package that content, package that thought leadership into ways that make it more engaging, such as video and podcasts. And moving our clients into being able to put some money behind those things is a big challenge, and internally for them to get those budgets for this region is also a big challenge. Our proudest moment and the big surprise for us was that we managed to move clients to start thinking about doing content creation other than just pure media relations. And it's an important element. I think the lesson that we've learned from last year and going into this year is that the cybersecurity industry is growing. It's going to be one that's a big focus. We looked at last year something like $2.8 billion being spent. So the thing that we're looking at in 2023 is we're going to see a lot more activity. Trends-wise for this region, I think we're going to see more and more investment going into cybersecurity. I think we're going to see governments start to get much more sophisticated from their perspective in how they support and how they promote cybersecurity as a government policy. And I also think we're going to see a consolidation in the amount of companies that are working or playing in this area. But I also see that we're going to see some very specialist niche areas spring up. And I think that also with the prevalence for crypto and Bitcoin and these kinds of trading platforms that are appearing, there's going to be a very strong need for companies to be able to invest behind protecting themselves. What superpower would I want? I think that I would like to have the superpower of foresight, to be able to see into the future for 1 hour, to be able to see where we're all going in terms of a region, in terms of what's happening in this region, because it's extremely exciting and dynamic at the moment to be a part of this. We've just had the Qatar World Cup. We're seeing Vision 2030 in Saudi Arabia with some enormous projects going on in there. And the UAE is going through some huge transformations for their 2071 project. So I think this is a region that, when we see into the future, is going to be one that is going to be quite central to the world, and there'll be a lot of global focus on it.